Starting to the bottom right, we have the Protoss player in red. It is the Casper Protoss, and the Wounding Stars player. It is
Wounding Stars fly.
Flying. I love that flying face. His opponent, formerly on Liquid when he first came out here to Korea, one of the first StarCraft 2 players to do so. Now on EG, he is...
EG Hawk Lady Core.
I had a few fans here, Korean and foreigner alike, cheering for this guy. And I like his haircut, to be honest. Looks good.
Why didn't I see that one coming? Should have known.
America loves Huck, but the world loves Nesty. I couldn't read the bottom part. The handwriting was...
That's true.
It left something to be desired, but thank you for making a sign.
It's been a long, long time since Huck played in the GSL.
Do it for Greg.
Well, I don't know what to say about that.
Well, I don't know, but...
let's say they have a friendly rivalry going on.
Huck has the better win rate on the map.
On the 1-0, 100%.
He's undefeated currently. That may change. You can see that Huck does have a decent win rate against Bros. You know, Huck hasn't been in the GSL for a long time, but he was here doing his thing with players like Jinro and Idra when this game was in its real infancy, when people were figuring things out, where people were being creative. Huck has done all sorts of crazy things in this matchup, like using High Templar to break sentry contained by force or feedbacking sentries. I've seen him do that before. He's done a lot of different awesome stuff, and back in the day, when this game wasn't as figured out, he was definitely one of the top players out there. And that's why he has so many matches actually played. If you're new to the GSL and you've never seen this guy, you're like, well, how does he have so many games? It's because he was actually quite successful back in the day.
Huck was losing in the preliminaries for Season 5 in the GSL against Tails in the finals. It was one of the Protoss versus Protoss that he played recently. He also lost against the Hero, against the CJ Entis Hero in Pro League, which was, of course, a bit of a problem here. And the thing is that since he really placed very high in a tournament, if you disregard the top 16 in IPL, that's nearly a year ago. In MLG, like in March last year, he placed 4th. Flying, of course, just switching to StarCraft 2 recently.
Very true.
And at this point, we are flying already with the first sentry. If you just look how the build orders went, we have Huck skipping on the Zealot. He's going straight into the Stalker. We have now double Stalker for him with the 2 gates that he has. Those sentries that are out for flying should help him to just shut out this aggression. He's going into a normal robo play here.
Yeah, Huck actually will get this probe. It looks like barely not. He better not walk up that ramp. That was so close.
Yeah.
But Huck goes double gate, so he has a little bit more pressure, and he will probably start sentries after this, if not a robo. He looks like he's trying to make a decision on which one it's going to be. He goes Nexus first. Interesting choice. So flying with a much safer build here with the double sentries, and Huck sees the sentries. So for him, this is important. He knows it's not a super fast tech, and he could actually bait these sentries down. He might be able to do some damage. It's a wide ramp.
It's a very wide ramp, and now the probe is trying to get out here, but no chance. The Stalkers are already pursued. He actually gets away,
you know,
at least for now.
He's also pretty lucky that probe went down there, because Huck could have done some damage to those sentries if he had chased and ignored it.
No. The build, what Huck does here is he's overly aggressive in the early game. He goes for the double gateways, and since he skips down the Zealot, he goes straight for the Stalkers. He's pressuring his opponent and forces Flying now to play a bit more passive. And what Flying did is go into robotics. He couldn't place down a Nexus because he had those sentries instead of actually fighting units. So Huck with the Stalkers on the low ground was in a position that he could kind of contain Flying, who goes now straight into the robotics bay, while Huck has not, he has the worst tech, of course, but he has the expansion up so much faster.
At cross positions and the way that these builds line up, Flying is using an ancient build, the 1-base Colossus push, but the way that this lines up, Huck's Nexus will be up for long enough, and at cross positions, with how this works with his extra gateways, he should, with good micro, be able to make enough units and hold, but it's not going to be easy, and it depends on how much Flying wants to commit. Flying could also potentially go for some sort of weird War Prism speed play, but it doesn't look like it. He starts the Colossus right away. He may go for that 1 Colossus with 4 gateways push.
One of the problems that he has is that he doesn't even know at this point where exactly Huck spawns. He only scouted the top right. That was all the information that he got. So right now, Huck is the one with the scouting information. He knows what's going on. He knows, okay, you don't have a Nexus at this point. I have my expansion, so if I go into my tag, I should be completely fine. And if you just look at how this works, Flying is getting the first Colossus out, but Huck completed his own robotic spay. And Flying has to cross the entire map, and this gives, of course, Huck time to chrono boost his own Colossi. The problem for him is that he is up against 2 Immortals and 1 Colossus, so the timing is really important.
It's also, Flying has 4 gates, so does Huck, but he spent so much resources on the probes that he has a 7 Harvester lead, but not the army supply lead. So Flying, with his forward pylon here, can do so much. This is actually the hardest push to hold with the expansion build that Huck has done with 2 gates that you can ever face, and he's probably faced this build a lot. So all he needs to do is get that Colossus out, hold the concave at the top of the ramp, and make sure his micro is good, make sure his targeting is good. He can hold this, but it's not going to be easy.
Huck has definitely the supply advantage overall, but in army supply they are very even. Huck with a slight lead here, 44 against 39, and now Flying is getting into position. We have this extra Colossus.
The concave is really good for Huck, and Flying retreats.
He retreats immediately.
Every second that Huck gets is another second to that second Colossus, and Huck looks like he's just done it, man.
Yeah, exactly. The problem for Flying is, can he really play a catch-up game? He can't get his Nexus, but he's moving down with one of his probes. It looks like he really wants to build a Nexus here, but I think the time for him to try to catch up to Huck's economy is gone.
Way gone. And now Huck even is comfortable enough to start his Colossus range. Flying does too, but his economy is so badly affected by this.
The question is now, when is Huck gonna start to build probes again? He stopped the probe production because he realized, well, you're just sitting there at my doorstep. If you attack now, I need to make sure that I don't spend too many minerals into my probes. I need to get more units. And now he's moving out, and he realized that this force that Flying has is just not strong enough. 2 Colossi are starting to chase Flying down. The pylon already goes down, and Huck immediately starts his probes again.
He even has a probe going with his army to try to put up a forward pylon. I think Flying might be dead. He doesn't have a lot of units here, and that Immortal is pretty slow. The Stalker's starting to take out some of its shields. He wants to use that Sentry again, which will buy him a little bit more time, but as soon as Huck steps on the force, it won't matter. In fact, Flying realizes he doesn't even try to use the Sentry.
Still supply blocked. Flying needs another pylon. He's about to be supply blocked again. That's what I wanted to say. We have now those extended thermal lance upgrades coming through for both players.
Huck is ahead though with his, and you know what? He's going to hit this timing perfectly with the next round of Warpins and thermal lance finishing right before Flying, and he's going to go up that ramp. Flying is in a lot of trouble. He doesn't even have his Nexus finished yet.
Huck doesn't even have to attack here. He can just wait. He has so many more probes. He can do whatever he wants now. 38 Harvesters against 27.
Range
Huck
advantage.
decides it is time to go. He's moving in range stun for both of them, but definitely the better army here for the Canadian player.
Crush this. He has way too much damage output. Flying. His Zealots are doing the best they can. He has the Immortals, but they're not able to connect with Huck's Colossi. Flying dropping its spy like crazy. And the new old Foreigner Hope, Huck, looks like he is going to just take game number 1 with, pun intended, flying colors.
Flying is on the retreat now. He's still behind the Harvesters with 13. Huck is pressuring him. There are still Immortals for Flying, and he might be able to push back Huck for a little bit. But the problem for Flying is just that the Canadian has such a great economy. He can warp in round after round of units, and here comes the fight. The Colossus, it dies at least one of them. And Huck, he wants to finish it. Flying, trying to take down Colossus 1 and 2.
What?
He's not able to do it.
He did a lot with those Immortals, but Huck just has too much. A big problem for Flying is those Warpins he used were in the battlefield, and now that the last Immortals are gone for Flying, he can't hope to kill Huck's Colossi. GG.
GG indeed, and Huck takes the first game and the up and down group. Well played here against Flying. The Casper Protoss player, no match for the Canadian. The Foreigner takes his first win today.
Yeah, and this marks the first time a Foreigner has taken a map this season.
Flying looks at the screen like he can't believe what just happened.
Yeah, his push was unfortunately at cross positions against Huck, who did a very safe build order. And Huck had the time he needed to get that Colossus out, and his micro was flawless. He had the perfect concave setup at the top of the ramp.
Yep.
Flying hesitated for a second, then that was all Huck needed.
After the opening, Huck was in a way better position, and the crucial point was that he did not overcommit to his economy. He realized what was happening, his opponent being on one base, so he stopped his Harvester production, got a lot of army out, and then when finally we had the army of flying at Huck's doorstep, it was a little bit too late. Huck had his own Colossus out, he was just trying to buy time, got a second Colossus, and then he just chased flying down, and he knew exactly that with the economy that he had, there was no way for flying to beat his army.
Yeah, he had no way. Huck just... he rolled him over, man. Yep. It was a great defense, though. That's such a hard push to hold. Cross position certainly helped him, but his micro, his concave at the top of the ramp, and his unit composition, the Zealot heavy composition that allowed his Colossi to actually hit shots on his opponent's army, whereas Flying's Colossi had to attack Huck's Zealots. That was really important as well.
So right now we have a 4 or 5 minute break, and then we are back with the next 3 set of matches. So guys, stay tuned, and we are back after a short break with the next games here at the GSL Up and Downs Group E.